Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Alright, for anybody who's on the live stream right now already, we're just going to get prepared to start the music. And we'll be live in under 2 minutes. Thanks for joining us. Alright, if you're ready there, Nora, I'll start the music. And as long as you can hear it, you did hear that when I played that, right?
Yep.
Okay, then you'll be able to hear that. And as soon as we're done, you're live. Awesome.
You're listening to Network Radio, live from the Media Broadcasting Center.
Hi everybody, my name is Nora Holloway, and I will be the guest host today on Tonight on Truth Network. Truth Talk episode 64, Missing Nukes.
Hold on, still going.
Breaking news, vital information, classified documents.
I'm sorry.
Truth Talk. We are change truth seekers. Paul Paradigm Breaking Webster, along with Chance George, up kicking lies, protecting their.
Alright, it actually stopped that time.
Oh.
Okay, you're good.
Am I good to go for the intro?
Yep.
Cool. Alright, Nora Holloway here. Live on tonight on Network Radio. Truth Talk episode 64, Missing Nukes. Top story will be on the possible false flag in America with missing nuclear weapons. We'll also be joined by Terry Wilson of the Canadian Awareness Network to speak about his recent news appearance for the March Against Monsanto report. We will also be hoping to be joined by another individual later on in the show. Thanks, Chance.
Awesome, yeah, so I'd like to thank Nora for being able to join us tonight and help me with the broadcast. My usual co-host, Mr. Paul Webster, is missing in action. We hope the New World Order and the NDA haven't captured another truther and taken him down. Hopefully it's just his family, and they always keep him busy. So if Mr. Webster is listening in, feel free to contact me and I will Skype you into the call. Like Nora said, we're joined by Terry Wilson. How's it going, Terry? We're glad to have you back, a repeat customer on Network Radio and Truth Talk. How is it going today?
Not too bad. It's always a pleasure.
It's always seems like there's some breaking news when we try and get you on. Now, I originally contacted you because I wanted to get some updates last week on the March Against Monsanto, so we'll touch on that maybe later on. But could you tell me about why I'm turning on my local news and seeing you in the news, live on TV, and having to stick up for humanity? Could you briefly describe the incident that happened in Hamilton, Ontario, and then subsequently how you were contacted to document this?
Okay, well, back in the spring, Hamilton police shot and killed an unarmed man. They said they had a shovel in his hand. They shot him in his own backyard. Now the SIU report has come out. The family has found some big discrepancies in it. The police say they shot at him 9 times, hit him 6 times with a brick wall behind him, but there's no bullet holes in the brick wall behind him. So they asked the Canadian Awareness Network to film a reenactment of what happened, of what the SIU said happened, to totally disprove it. We did that. We put it onto YouTube, and every mainstream news outlet here in Hamilton picked it up. The Hamilton Spectator called us an anti-police group for doing it, of course.
Yeah, I read that
It's
article.
always evil to question the police. And then CHCH contacted us and asked us if we'd come on to talk a little bit about it. Of course, it was a 10-minute interview, and they used 5-second clips, but that's how they work.
Yeah.
Now that's basically to be expected. How they use sound bites and they use basically what's convenient for them to use and portray you in a different perspective. Could you maybe give the listeners at home, since they weren't privy to what you have, I don't know if you taped it or your side, but could you give the difference maybe in a perspective of how you said one thing and then what we saw on TV?
Well, really, CHCH for a mainstream outlet didn't do too badly. They did only use 5-second clips, but they didn't use the strongest points that we said. I believe what they showed us saying is Frankie saying that we basically picked up where the mainstream left off on the story. They refused to say alternative or independent media. We're an activist group. We're not media. And the whole conversation, we made point after point on why communities need to come together in situations like this. If there's families that believe that there is problems with an SIU report, it should be examined. None of that was used, of course. What they had Frankie saying was, we picked up where the mainstream media left off, and me saying that the family asked us to film it.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
incredible. Any comments on that, Nora? Sorry to cut you off.
It's like, I'm not surprised. It's almost like, well, maybe they'll actually air it this time, like it's supposed to be done. They never do, and it only fuels the fire to those people that are awake and aware, because it's not anything different than their regular game that they play. So, and it just shows you what slanderous crap that they're getting on TV and what people are just like gobbling up, and it doesn't. It's horrible. Really.
Exactly, and that's why shows like this one are so important.
Yeah.
And we did film the interview. It will be posted up to YouTube
Good.
very soon
Good.
in full. And that's what I recommend to anybody out there. If you're going to speak to mainstream news, record it yourself.
Yeah. I don't know how they can live with themselves. I'm just saying. Somebody there is giving the okay to edit the video the way that they want it. Like, it doesn't. I don't understand. I guess I don't understand. So
I usually think it's the people who are paying for the commercials that help decide on what gets put out on the mainstream.
Totally, they're backing it all, right?
They seem to have bought their way into complete monopoly of the power of the media, which is supposed to be a check and balance of government. And these days, it doesn't seem like it's checking and balancing anything. It seems more like it's basically kind of helping them get their agenda across by repeating the official story. And I use the word official in quotations. And if I'm spelling it correct, I believe it looks like the CIA is unofficial.
It's official business. CIA business.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, do you know what he was talking about, Terry? I saw one article kind of rebutting what you were reporting, and they said that they did view the reenactment, and some of your facts were inaccurate. I think that was a police chief that was on there. Do you know what facts he was talking about is inaccurate, or do you know any hardcore facts that we could tell people happened there? Like, how did the suspect get shot? Apparently he was crawling under a fence. This would be a time when you could have apprehended the suspect instead of murdering him.
Basically, the police chief, who already doesn't like us, obviously, because we've asked him to resign, we've been questioning him for the last couple of years, said that there was factual errors, but he's not going to comment on what errors those are. So it's just him throwing it out there saying, yeah, there's errors, but I'm not going to talk about it. It's incredible.
He doesn't want to bring up, if there is an error, he doesn't want to bring up the truth.
Yeah, exactly. And none of these facts came from us. These facts came from Steve Messick, the man who was shot, his stepfather. He was the one that orchestrated the reenactment. He's the one that's been speaking with the chief, with the SIU. He has the SIU report. He went straight from that SIU report and what they had to say. So these whole factual errors, I would like to see them brought out. If he's saying there's errors in it, I would like to see them.
Wow. So you clearly reenacted the entire thing from what you got from the documents, which is what they signed off on.
Yeah, and it was all family members that were being the actors, that were portraying the police, that were portraying Steve himself. They were family and friends of
I'm really
his.
sorry to hear that. That must have been really hard for them to go through that.
Yeah, they're pretty upset, and they've got a fire in their belly now. They're not going to give up.
Oh,
Yeah.
They want justice.
upset to say the least. Your family gets murdered. That's a life quest that you're on now. You're committed, and it's basically no one's ever going to stop at this. So even if it washes out of the mainstream news because they only do this is popular for 10 minutes and we're going to run the story today and it's forgotten to them tomorrow. It's not to the family. And that's the real victims in one of these stories. And like it's good for us to show the manipulation in the media and what's actually happening to them and what the fallacies in the story is. It's also important for us to remember that there is victims in this, and it's just tragic for any one of these stories. So it's crazy. I hate hearing about these. Terry, on a little bit more of a positive note, I was at March Against Monsanto, the first one in our Brantford area. I was doing the march there. My better half, the alternative mummy host on Fridays, Ray, she managed to get her lovely face in every single paper down here. She was on the front page of the Brantford Expositor, some of the different newspapers you're familiar with down here, out there marching around with the big sign. I think I got some of the papers in here. And I had a really good experience, and we were told that there was a couple thousand people in Toronto, and that was back a few months back. And we actually went down to Toronto to host the March Against Chemtrails. And when we got to Toronto, we only had a smaller group. It didn't actually end up being a large group of people. So, were you at the most recent one, the one that happened on October the 12th?
Yes, I was. It was pretty big. There wasn't thousands of people this time around, but it was still fairly large. They had some great speakers, including one of my favorites, Dr. Shiv Chopra, the whistleblower from Health Canada.
Oh, cool.
Now,
So I
this
don't
was
know
Go ahead.
much about that. What's that all about?
Well, he was stopping the growth hormones in for cows with Health
Right on.
Canada. He was fighting against that. He was basically told to shut up, so he spoke out.
Wow.
And they fired him. That was almost 10 years ago. But it was thanks to him. The growth hormones in cows are now illegal in Canada.
Right on.
So he was
That's
there
awesome.
speaking out against, it's not only Monsanto, of course, it's all the different biotech companies that are bringing out these genetically modified organisms. And the main push I noticed at the rally was for labeling. They want genetically modified products labeled. Which I don't know, what are your thoughts on that? Do you agree with the whole push for labeling, or would you rather see them totally banned?
Obviously not on the shelves and not available. I mean, I don't know. From my understanding, is putting a label on it is like putting a warning sticker on the outside of cigarette packets. People still smoke, and they see the images. They know it's bad. They know there's health concerns. But I think labeling it is just, it goes right over people's heads too if they don't understand what GMOs are. They could put a little happy face next to it. You know what I mean? And people would think it would be okay because they're recognizing a symbol and not so much the warning. So,
well, very true. And the way Monsanto manipulates the market through the state, just saying, okay, we'll settle with labeling it.
Yeah,
kind of gives them ammunition to use against any activists. Like, hey, we've done what you want to do.
Yeah, we like that.
You know, we've worked with you guys. We've got it all labeled. You have a choice, even though there's no real choice because they've taken everything over.
Yeah. Why not just ban them?
Yeah.
That should be the next thing.
Just like so many countries have. I mean, Russia's banned them, France has banned them, Japan's banned it.
Mexico just did.
Yeah, Mexico just did.
Wow.
Now, my take on the labeling, while it does kind of facilitate them still using GMOs and putting them on the shelves by using the cop-out of labeling, at least if they are going to do it anyway, I would love to see a label on there. A mandatory label, and I would also like to see companies not be penalized for promoting that they aren't using GMOs. So when I see a company that's all like, no GMOs here, and then their company's being attacked and raided for just coming out and telling the consumer kind of a run around the labeling itself, they're giving us the alternative and our own choice, and then they're being penalized. So I'd like that to stop too, and that's something that should be addressed hugely, is protection for these small companies.
Yeah. Well, and you can tell there's a bigger story behind all of it, because not only are they pushing the GMOs, they're restricting everybody's access to the natural health products.
Yeah.
So even for people who are choosing to go a more healthy way and they're having to go to the supplements because they can't get it in the food anymore, they're now raiding the naturopathic doctors, shutting businesses down. They've banned 30,000 natural health products that have never caused any sickness or death or disease or anything, just on the basis that they can't be proven to be safe. They're saying that, say a small little business has to pay $100,000 per product to have it tested and be approved as safe. Now, of course, these small businesses can't do that, especially when they're producing, say, 4 or 5 different products. So it's a double-edged sword. They're bringing in all of the genetically modified organisms and then blocking even the supplements for us to get.
Wow.
It's a dirty, disgusting little cycle.
It's a mafia ring. That's what I like to say. It's mafia ring.
For sure.
Right? They're all linked together from everything from people's health when they ingest GMO foods and stuff, like on a consistent basis, like junk food and chips and pop and crap that's in boxes, linked to health issues, which also boosts big pharma. Like, it's so interconnected and intertwined like that. My theory is chemtrails are linked as well to all of this. I mean, it's preventing a lot of natural ability for plants to grow. It's slowing crop growth for people that do plant their own gardens. It's all a big fucking mess. I hope I can swear on here, because
it's my network. We've had guests on who have been flying out with some vulgarities.
But I agree with you totally, Nor. Like, it kind of irritated me a little bit to see so many out for the Monsanto rally and then so few for the geoengineering rallies here in Hamilton. We only had 12 people.
I was crushed by that, Terry. Just one quick comment on that. I had 10 weeks of doing updates and info shows. I was having over 10,000 people come on the radio shows and check out our updates, letting us know about how they were going to march, and we had people calling into the radio show. I hosted a 6-hour show that day. Wow. Well, actually, my friend Shane was actually the one in the control room hosting the show. We had people call in from all over the world. It seemed like a great success and all that, but when I got down there, 40 people standing there. I was told that there was 1,000, 2,000, same park, same area, months earlier for March Against Monsanto, and it's almost like they don't see the connection Nora's talking about, where the chemtrails are affecting the GMOs are resistant to the aluminum is what's making the plants not be able to grow, it's killing the soil, it's killing the nutrients, it's just one thing after another. It is a connected web. Sorry, I gotta take one quick breath here. I've had the worst breathing, catching of my breath today ever, so 1 second. I'm gonna die here on air. That'll be ratings, I swear.
Well, I think what played a big role in why not as many people are out is we have what I like to call the fake alternative media outlets like Rabble and media co-ops, excuse me, who will tell you that chemtrails are just a conspiracy theory. Oh. And that that's who really promoted the Monsanto rallies. So they have large numbers, and they got a lot of environmental groups to come out for the Monsanto rally. But don't pay attention to those chemtrails. That's just conspiracy theory and it has nothing to do with it.
That's crazy.
I think that's really where you saw the difference in numbers.
Yeah, I think, like I've been asked before, if there's any tangible proof, like evidence to show that chemtrails are real. And I do know that on the government website, they post, what are they called? I can't even, like, a performance of how they're going to do the geoengineering. Basically.
Yeah, they actually have a site on there. I've posted it a bunch of times. Yeah. And if you go on canada.gov.ca, and I believe it's called the Weather Modification Information Act.
Yep. Yeah.
And they literally post in there. Yeah, they post in there that they have to tell you when they're doing it. They'll be fined. I think it's like $1,000 or $5,000 if they spray and they didn't tell you that day. So it's like, if you happen to kill a bunch of people and poison some people, we got this little slap on the wrist for you. Oops, sorry, my bad. But another thing that I found, and this is an amazing story, they are going out telling people that they are spraying. They're holding court cases in front of judges, asking for people to come refute the fact that it's happening. Nobody's showing up to the court cases.
Wow.
Nobody's showing up. They're going, well, nobody's here. Mr. Monsanto's here. Go ahead. Spray away. The next thing you know, we're getting sprayed after our consent was given due to silence. And that's another thing that has to be addressed. The people need to realize that sometimes this silence, they can actually take this for consent. Yep.
That's
a whole bunch of contract law and stuff that is a whole nother show, and we get into some of that here on our network, and lots of information about that. Now, Terry, we got you on screen, and as long as we have you on air, I know we were talking about it off air, so I would just like to bring it up on air about we believe that since network radio is kind of networking, and we've got a number of shows, like I would have got into my programming notes about how you're watching us on a live stream. There's a chat room available. It's a 24-hour chat room. Mm-hmm. We also have about 10 different shows on our network, and we're trying to see if we can get Terry to, because he apparently is on his way to starting his own network or starting his own shows, to at least be able to link up with us and let us simulcast shows back and forth, do some cross-bannering, and do some sort of working like that, or possibly actually working together on networks. So any comments on some upcoming projects from your side, or us working together on some alternative, or what I like to dub the real media?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we've got a few hosts lined up. We're looking into getting into the same thing of what you guys are doing. So it only makes sense for us to work together. In Canada, we're pretty few and far in between, so it only makes sense for all of us to work together. We're going to be doing weekly news reports, daily shows, all sorts of good things coming up. A few different new websites coming, so a lot of good things coming. And yeah, it only makes sense for us to work together. So we're going to have to talk a lot more about that.
Yeah, that's definitely front and center. I've got it on my whiteboard listed, so I'm definitely keeping you in mind. I heard that we've just recently been networked to a couple people in BC. That's a whole other section of shows that's going to be coming up. Big announcements on that on our actual Monday night. This past Monday was our first show called Retracing the Steps of Our Ancestors with Patrick McCoy, and that was a great success.
Cool.
We had a little bit of a blog talk issue, and it kind of kicked us off. We had some dropped calls and all that, but everything was worked out in the archives, and we've got it all figured out. But there's a lot of network shows coming out. We've got a few more that are going to be released the next week. We have a couple brand new shows coming out, so there's lots of stuff happening on the network. Just checking the time to see if we're on our network break, speaking of that. I know that Alternative Mummy just brought me a nice fresh cold water. Thank you so much. What else was something that you noticed at the march? Did you happen to see any coverage from any mainstream from your end, or after you got home? Did you see any coverage of this, or was it a complete blackout once again? Because I know the first time there was 2 million people worldwide, and complete blackout other than a few select papers that, like I said, Alternative Mummy got in.
Yeah, it was all alternative and independent that I saw. I didn't see any mainstream media while I was there, and I didn't see any coverage afterwards. I believe I saw one mainstream article that was 1 or 2 paragraphs, didn't go into any detail, just saying that there was a march against genetically modified foods.
Now, I know that during the march against Monsanto the first time, on the CP24, which is one of our local channels that a lot of people go and watch. They have one of those little boxes that basically feeds you propaganda every 10 minutes, and it just rotates. That day, what was the name of the parade that was going on? There was some sort of, like, international, ballet day, or international jump rope. There was some sort of completely irrelevant to world news that was like the focal point. broadcasting every 5 minutes, pumping it up, but there was no international. By the way, downtown Toronto has 2,000 people marching through the streets, correlating in 40 to 50 countries around the world, with 2 million people trying to protect the food and the security of the future of humanity. Oh, nope, nothing to see here. These aren't the droids that you're looking for. Unbelievable.
Well, it's become all too known, and that's why shows like yours and our website and many others are growing the way they are. People are sick and tired of it.
Yeah. They're losing viewers. They're losing viewers. They have to be losing viewers right now.
I definitely have to commend the work that I've seen, and I want anyone that's listening to this or on the archives to go to Terry's site. I believe the address is the
CanadianAwareness.org.
I might as well let you give it out. Now go there. I know that he has a banner featured on there about Truth Talk, so thanks for that. But he always has stories coming out on there. It's one of these sites. It's like Canada's version of InfoWars, and I've seen him chasing down prime ministers, having limousines and motorcades, basically, chasing them down. And we've seen a number of stories where you're approaching Bilderberg members, you're going out meeting politicians head on. He's going to these events, standing there waiting in line, waiting his turn, and then, can you comment on Bilderberg, sir? You know what I mean? It's just these great things. So props on what you've done. I remember watching how you've gone from We Are Change Brantford to the Hamilton to the launching your site, and then all the great successes. So when people say, well, I'm just one man, well, so am I. I've got my own network. So is Terry. He's done all of this huge stuff right there. There's people out there, like, even if you love him or hate him, well, Alex Jones is one man. He's got 20 million viewers, okay? So
he's got millions of dollars backing him, though.
Yeah. This one man excuse or one person excuse of I can't do it. It's just little old me. It's a hogwash bullshit fallacy, and I'm completely sick of hearing it. And we're all living proof that one person can do all of this and can do so much more. So knock off the excuses, ladies and gentlemen, and time to get on the front line. And speaking of front line, I believe that we're looking at possible World War III scenario situations, false flags, and a lot more. And that's part of what tonight's main topic is going to be. I'm just going to queue up, because I'm a one-man army in the studio and I have to do all of the background work while I'm doing the interview. And anyone who's in the chat room, sorry, I'm not monitoring it at the exact moment I'm producing. But I'm going to queue up our network commercial break. Just for your guys' information, we'll be pulled off the live stream screen. They won't be able to see us, but they'll be able to hear us. So, shh. I'll queue up. It's about a 3-minute commercial break, and then once we get back from that, we'll get back into some of the main topic, which is going to be episode 64, Missing Nukes. Terry, did you want to stick around and join us for the discussion, or are you off and battling the New World Order?
Yeah, I should probably get off. I got a few things to get working on, a couple of videos to edit, so.
Okay,
cool.
Well then, before
we should connect, Terry. I don't know how, but we'll get in touch, and then I'll get some of those links and stuff, and yeah.
Sounds like a plan.
Awesome. Cool.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely like to say goodbye then, and thank you for joining us. If you hit your disconnect, because I can't hang up on you, or I hang up on everyone, worst case scenario, I will be looking forward to hearing from you in the near future about working together on some network projects, if not completely collaborating on one giant mission. So,
for sure.
Thanks a lot for coming on again, Terry.
Thanks, Terry. It's nice to meet you.
Same. Thanks, guys.
All right,
Cheers.
talk to you again. Awesome. All right. I'm not sure if his icon's going to end up staying up for the rest of the show, but we'll see how that goes. I'm just going to run out to commercial break, and we'll be back in 3 minutes. Thanks for joining us. They can hear you.
Call in and join our guests at 718-664-6212.
Hi, Alternative Mummy here. Have you ever prepared your family's food in your kitchen after cleaning it with store-bought products? Of course you have. Now, think about this. Most of those products contain dangerous and toxic chemicals, and they must be stored safely out of reach. Yet people clean with these products, put food in some cases directly on the Just Clean surface, then allow themselves and their families to consume the food. Do you see something wrong with this? Well, I definitely do, and that's why I created Alternative Spray, 100% natural and safe for mine and your family. Find out how to try my family's favorite lemon fresh and citrus blend by visiting my blog at www.webookYourShow.com. That's www.webookYourShow.com. I'm Alternative Mummy, bringing you the natural side of everyday issues.
Are you like me and drink coffee and tea every day? I know I'm totally hooked, but I don't like the effects. However, I've tried this coffee and tea that not only tastes great, but is a much healthier choice. And I know that sounds impossible, but it's anti-aging, builds the immune system, increases energy, and it's GMO-free. You've got to try it out at perceptioniseverything.com. That's perceptioniseverything.com.
Less than 3% of you people read books, because less than 15% of you read newspapers. Right now, there is an entire generation that never knew anything that didn't come out of this tube. This tube can make or break presidents, popes, prime ministers. Television is not the truth. Television is a circus, a carnival, a traveling troupe of acrobats, storytellers, dancers, singers, jugglers, sideshow freaks, lion tamers, and football players. We deal in illusions, man. None of it is true. But you people sit there day after day, night after night, all ages, colors, creeds.
Broadcasting live on network radio.
So turn off your television sets, turn them off now, turn them off and leave them off.
We're back live on Truth Talk. Thanks for joining us again.
Okay, so today's topic, because it's dubbed episode 64, Missing Nukes, I wanted to get in some of the major developments and what's going on. I know that Paul Webster and I, who apparently couldn't join us tonight, I haven't even got a message from him. Nope, haven't got a message from him. I know that Paul Webster and I did a 3-part mini-series on false flag and the history of false flag. We were discussing the 9/11 developments, we were discussing all the other scenarios, the Oklahoma, the different events that have happened like that, because we had a warning. And this was the warning that we wanted to get people out. This was a huge, huge development that an event is going to happen again that is going to be a false flag event. My prediction that I put on record from, I think it was at least June until September, was that they were going to blow an American city up with either an improvised explosive device, kind of like Boston bombing but on a larger scale, or they were going to take something out with a nuclear explosion. I picked 3 different cities. I didn't pick the right city, but I said that there was going to be a nuclear detonation, a false flag. This is going to be why they have the excuse to run against Iran, Syria. They might have used North Korea at the time because that was kind of hot when we were talking about it. But it was this initial introduction to World War III and what was going to get us there. We did 4 episodes at least on the false flag, on the World War III scenario, and then about a month ago we had seen a story break. It's developed. We've got a lot more developments. We're going to get into some of it. It's a story that missing nuclear weapons have been stolen from a naval base in Texas, and this is a real situation where not only are nuclear weapons stolen and that type of scenario going on, but people are being fired. There's generals, top-ranking generals that are being fired over this. There's actual reports of nuclear detonation and all kinds of stuff. We're going to get into all of that. We've got about 25 minutes to cover it. Now, I know that last minute I brought this information to you, Nora, and sent you some links. What do you think, just combing the surface on this before the show, what do you think about what I'm talking about here tonight?
I personally think that there's something else going on. I mean, how do nuclear weapons just go missing in a
nuclear weapons that weren't even supposed to be there?
Protected. Yeah. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And then if you look at the stories of these generals getting fired, it's all for with gambling, getting caught doing gambling things. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I don't know.
Yeah, it seems to be
hidden stuff behind it. But
I'm going to try and bring some of these articles that I have on screen while we're talking. I just know that looking down at my computer CPU status, it's about 99% because I'm jamming the max out of this computer at the moment. So I might be slow to bring up some of these stories, but I am getting to them. Just to run down basically the storyline of what's happening is they got an anonymous tip from a top high-ranking official at the base. The actual, what's the name of the base? The Diaz Air Force Base in Texas. Just going from memory here. Now, they had one of the top-ranking officials basically freaking out of his mind, saying that not only was someone showing up to pick up nuclear weapons, but they weren't even supposed to be there. In the 80s, when they started going into this decommissioning of the Cold War and getting rid of these nuclear weapons, these were supposed to be taken away from that base. Completely gone. They were unbeknownst to anyone on the base. This is top-ranking official on the base blowing the whistle. This isn't some Joe Blow who cleans mess hall. This is one of the top-ranking officials, almost like a base commander. Not to give away exactly who it is who was coming out with this information, but basically almost a base commander rank saying, "What do you mean? There's no nuclear weapons here." Oh, look, there they are. And then they load them up onto a truck, no paperwork, so they had to get some sort of contact. You're looking at one of the most protected substances on the planet. This isn't just uranium to be made to make into a nuclear weapon. This is a nuclear frickin' weapon. Completely ready to go. Even if it's armed or not armed.
It's all good. I totally get it, man. These weapons.
I already can't breathe. I'm having problems breathing tonight, and now I'm getting worked up because this should be front page of every news story. This is from September 3rd that the nuclear weapon went missing. Now this should be on every news story everywhere, and I don't see it anywhere but places like InfoWars, the Neil Keenan site, which was just brought to my attention tonight about he's reporting on this. I'll get into some of the updates he has, but this should be huge news. All I'm hearing about is Miley Cyrus is a wrecking ball licking sledgehammers. I don't hear anything about nuclear weapons missing, okay? You think the Cold War was scary? People are ducking and covering under their desks, hiding from nuclear bombs? This should be real scary right now. We have an active situation that could lead into something major. Now, possibly this was deflected, and this is what we're going to get into with the Neil Keenan closer to the end. But I wanted to get into something that Nora brought up. She had mentioned that the generals had been fired over this. Now, not only one, but two top-ranking. First, there was a U.S. admiral, who was a U.S. Navy admiral. He is an overseer of the nation's nuclear weapons, Vice Admiral Tim Gaiardina. I am terrible at pronouncing people's names. But he is second in command of the U.S. Strategic Command. Okay, so this guy is top dog. He gets ousted because they're saying that he has some sort of gambling problem or something like that. And what it is he wouldn't fire. They wanted to... Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. I've got to... Bring it down, Chance George. Bring it down. Okay, so part of the warning that we were told was these were taken from Texas, heading to South Carolina. Immediately on the same day, South Carolina, I believe he's a senator, Lindsey Graham, came out and said... And this is a globalist through and through. This is one of the bad guys. This is New World Order puppet paid for in the pocket, came out and said, attention everybody, there's people out there who are possibly going to do a false, or no, he didn't say false flag, but that's what is going to happen. There's people who are going to attack us with nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons are going to go off in South Carolina because of Syria, because of Iran. We have to act. It's the exact thing that Paul and I were talking about for months. He's now saying it at the same time that we have a nuclear weapon missing and people freaking out, breaking rank, and reporting on this. So within one day of this development, we saw the, oh my god, they're gonna blow up South Carolina. It wasn't one of the 3 cities I picked. I bet on air with Paul what city they were going to blow up, so I totally lost that. But shit, this was close enough to a prediction as I'm going to get. We've been vindicated a few times on air where our predictions have completely come true. But I challenge anybody to go back, listen to our episodes. I believe it was episodes... It was in the 40s, all on false flag. Listen to that. I came out and said exactly what was going to happen. So then when we see that happening... And then you see what Nora was bringing up, how she's saying with these generals being fired. I'm pulling up some of these stories on screen.
Yeah.
This makes it so real that we're looking at false flag that is going to bring out the New World Order. This is terrible, 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 terrible. Okay, bring this story up.
Well, they're lining up for something. They're lining up for something. There's a lot of weird stories going on out there. So
yeah, I was going to say, I believe right before we went on air, you had mentioned that you had said that we're looking at possibly you had seen some information that this might be linked to the FEMA preparations.
Yeah, because it's in North Carolina. We did a couple minutes research before we came on air, and there's a FEMA camp in North Carolina. That was my assumption about why they would have something like that go on there.
Well, we went on a huge rant the other day about, there was a YouTube video going around where they're talking about large preparations happening and a lot of activity happening. It was FEMA Region 3, and they were saying about how they're prepping for everything. There was going to be civil unrest. We see in the last 2 days $86 million being spent in New York alone to hire extra guards for protecting of IRS buildings and other financial buildings in Wall Street for the strict purpose of civil unrest. So, I mean, if this isn't a prediction of the proverbial poop hitting the fan, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It's going down. I have on screen article. This is BBC News. Navy Vice Admiral Timothy, I don't know how to pronounce, demoted in gambling probe. Okay, so they're basically saying that the guy who's in charge of all nuclear weapons, he has a bit of a gambling problem. So even if that's true, that should be frickin' outrageous right there, and they're getting rid of him. Good job, Obama. You're getting rid of one of your top-ranking generals who wouldn't fire on American citizens. So good job there. That's just BBC News. I think I have about 5 articles proving that and linking that up with a couple other ones, not just from the BBC, because sometimes people don't believe them. Let me see what other links I can pull up. It's hard for me to do this while I'm on air and talking and trying not to stall out.
Right.
Usually I'm like, hey, Paul, say something delightful for the folks for a minute, and he goes off on some rant that takes us down a rabbit hole, and you never know where we're going to get when Paul gets back. I believe there's another general fired. Yep, I got another one here. Fox News. Bring this on screen. I keep referencing on screen for anybody who's listening on the Blog Talk, the network radio Blog Talk, or the simulcast that happens on Global Fact, and it's all a radio station. You think I'm going back crazy out of my mind referencing on screen? There's a live stream channel that's happening right now. Right now, it's a free live stream. Anybody can watch it. The links are all posted the same place you found these links. So go on there, and I'm actually pulling up articles on screen showing. Right now, I have one, Fox News Politics. Air Force General in charge of nuclear missiles fired over conduct. Okay, scroll down. Find this guy's name. 2-star general in charge of all Air Force nuclear missiles was fired Friday following the probe into alleged personal misbehavior. Just before days before another key U.S. official overseeing nuclear power was relieved of his duty. Not only that, but we have 4 other reports of other generals in this immediate community getting fired in the last month. We have 10 of them fired in the Benghazi scandal last year at September 11th. So there is some people who are resisting this, and then there is some people who are promoting this. And I know that Barack Obama, the long-legged Mac Daddy, the man who is a puppet Manchurian candidate, he is sitting in the White House under treason. I blatantly call out the fact that someone needs to prosecute him. This guy is a CIA puppet. His whole family CIA. You don't know anything about him. I could do shows upon shows about Barack Obama. This guy, I have actually seen truthers out there delusional to the point of promoting Barack Obama, saying, oh, shh, he's a light worker. He's secretly working for us, and he's actually going to come through in the background. Okay, that's a load of crap. I cannot take any more about Barack Obama. I actually have a clip that I always play every time that someone says Barack Obama on the show. If my computer wasn't literally almost on fire right now, I would play it. But one more clip and it's going to explode. Barack Obama is the worst thing to happen to America since the Bushes. Okay? This is his debt ceiling farce, all of this stuff that's coming out, the IRS scandal, the NSA scandal, the NDAA, all of the stuff that's going on. It all stems back to Barack Obama. If people could just follow some of Jerome Corsi's work, I know that guy is completely illegal to be president. He is a complete farce. There's people like Wayne Madsen. Wayne Madsen reports that completely document the entire history of Barack Obama and how he is a CIA operative created. Okay? I'm done with Barack Obama. He is not helping the people. No. He is not a light worker. Case closed. Stop.
Done.
Unbelievable. I almost laugh because it's funny that people are actually out there.
It's actually horrible. I agree with you.
Yeah, people are actually out there thinking that he is the second coming of Christ. They put his sticker on their cars. They think they're going to get.
Those are some delusional people.
They're going to get their free
people
houses.
Are delusional. Out there.
Get your Obama phone. I got my free Obama phone. Did you see that lady?
Yeah, I did see that lady.
Oh.
It's sad. It's really sad that there's people out there like that. Yeah, I have no idea.
If you need Social Security or welfare, we'll get you Obama phone, and we get free calls. and then these people, I hate to sound contradicting and mean to them, but these stupid people got their phones and they didn't even work. Much like Barack Obama's healthcare website, $639 million to put up a website. The website is supposed to be responsible for signing up everybody onto Barack Obama's new healthcare plan. The damn thing doesn't even work. I have a $40 website of my own. Totally works fine.
Yeah, but where'd the money go?
Oh, I know where the money went.
Put it there, but doesn't mean it went there.
Yeah, and it's not like there's a glitch where, well, the system is being overloaded. It's been documented. You can go on naturalnews.com. They show the code. I don't know anything about writing code or any of that crap, but there's people out there who know what I'm talking about right now, where they're writing code. There's 5 million lines of code that were put in incorrect. 5 million lines of code. That sounds like a lot of freaking code going on. You've got monkeys on steroids smoking crack with typewriters, making code that probably would work better than what actually showed up on this website.
Absolutely.
and it's working greater than it's exceeding expectations. Quote Barack Obama, it's exceeding expectations. That's right. At attacking the people, taking their health care, double charging people, premiums going 3 times, 4 times as much, and now people are going to get $5,000 fines for not being able to sign up. Oh yeah, it's mandatory.
It's mandatory
to buy healthcare.
It's mandatory because it works, people. It works. It's so good. It's mandatory.
Yeah,
that's how good it is.
It's mandatory that people who can't afford it now have to buy healthcare premiums from insurance companies who wrote the frickin' bill. And the funny part is, Mitt Romney's buddies on the Republican side helped write the Obamacare bill for a Democratic Obama, So it didn't matter if people actually got off their asses and decided we're getting Obama out of here. We're voting Republican. We're going to get Romney in there. Romney's going to make it better. Well, Romney wrote the frickin' bill. It would have been introduced and it would be called Romocare. And it wouldn't work any frickin' better. So it doesn't matter what happens, folks. You vote, you lose. You're voting for... Hi, I'm Goldman Sachs. I bought the Democratic Party, and I bought the Republican Party. So you can vote for whoever the hell it is that you want to, and I win. Goldman Sachs wins. JP Morgan wins. Citibank wins. Wells Fargo can win. Wells Fargo also got caught for $376 billion of drug money being laundered to their bank. And in another story, a $13 billion fine JP Morgan and Chase has to pay. Everybody at home sitting there like, yeah, we don't like them. We hate them. They're New World Order. They just got a $13 billion fine. Yeah, that sounds like a big number, and it sounds like they just got screwed. But guess what, folks? They just got found criminally guilty of fraud on a massive scale because of the entire banking crisis and what happened with the mortgage and the derivatives and the mortgage-backed securities and all the stuff that I was telling people about. They got found guilty of that. Over $1 trillion in damages. Over $1 trillion. So you steal $1 trillion worth of stuff, and you pay a $13 billion fine. It's like me stealing $1 million and getting a $1,000 fine. See what I'm saying? It's not that bad at all. It sounds huge and outrageous, and whoa, $13 billion. That is a lot of money. But they stole $1 trillion. And they made derivatives and other investments on this garbage, blown-up, made-up Ponzi scheme on houses and mortgages that weren't worth pennies to piss in. And they made $600 trillion in derivatives debt. The entire planet's GDP is like 70 trill. So, good luck with that, folks. Scam. I call bullshit.
Among other things. That's intense. I had no idea.
Yeah, just the news almost today. Like, we do an hour show every week on Truth Talk, and we basically try and get a lot of the stories out that we can in the first half an hour, and then one main topic for the last half. But it almost seems like we could have a 3-hour show just on the weekly news, because lately it's story after story after story after story. Yeah. I can't even cover it all. We've got 10 shows on the network. We're missing 3/4 of the news that's out there because we can't even keep up. So, the more people that can help out with the networks and the more people that are sharing all the necessary links and all the people that are tuning in, it's helpful to have all these people on our side. So I definitely thank everybody. And just to get the last couple points on this nuclear story, did you hear about the Neil Keenan developments of the story where they believe that these have been blown up?
They've actually been blown up?
Yeah, they've exploded the nuclear weapons that were stolen. Are you familiar with Neil Keenan and his work?
No.
Okay, this guy, I only reference him in any way because I saw him on David Wilcox, who I do believe is a very reputable site. And when David Wilcox first introduced Drake and this whole story about the mass arrests, Neil Keenan was reporting on it and somehow got involved in the story. So I've kept my eye. I've heard about him. When I started posting about the show that was going on tonight, Missing Nukes, Mark Fanjoy, another gentleman, Paul, they had all referenced to me that, you're talking about what Neil Keenan's reporting on and that they've exploded. And so I quickly referenced, I checked tonight, I watched at least 2 or 3 YouTube videos on what he's reporting, and I also saw on a couple different sites and some seismographs that say this was detonated in the Pacific Ocean about 3 days ago.
Oh, that's horrible.
Now, it's horrible that it was detonated at all, but if Obama, the guy I was just ranting about, if he had had his way, it was going to be detonated in South Carolina.
Do you think so?
Yeah, Charlottesville.
Do you think he would have done that? He just would have...
Do I think? I've been screaming about it for 4 months. Yeah, of course he's going to do that. That's what he's going to do. If those generals, the ones that we just saw on screen who were fired, if they didn't stick up for humanity, there would be 24 million people dead right now.
I don't think so.
Let me just show you on screen.
That's me. I'm just trying to be advocate here for 2 sides. I mean...
I know people have to think positive and have to stay positive, and I try and bring home people the reality of the trouble we're in. On screen, I have a report.
I totally admit that we are in trouble. I am not dismissing that at all. It's just, I don't think that they're going to have 24 million, I'm throwing that number out there again, 24 million death thing happen. I don't think, that's going to happen. But
now, I don't want to sound like, I'm throwing out this huge prediction and I just sound crazy.
No.
But these people, they write in their own documents that they need to eliminate 80 to 90, almost 100% of the entire population. They've written documents about, they have plans where they want to release helicopters in every major city across North America, and in one big swoop, blast knockout gas that knocks out the population, and on their way back, they kill everybody.
I don't think so.
These are written plans that they have.
I'm studying a lot of law information.
I would hope that you're right.
People of this land, us, you, me, men and women, we back everything in these countries. We are the currency that makes this whole thing go. There's no way they're going to let their income, their currency, they're not going to shoot off their currency. We're the only thing that we get traded. Our documents get traded.
Oh, 100% agree with you. Just to comment, there's a article on screen where Lindsey Graham is talking about the nukes, and they're in the hands of terrorists, and they're possibly going to bomb Charleston Harbor. That's the article on screen. But I 100% agree with you that we are being traded on the stock market. We're human chattel. Your birth certificate, on the bottom of it, it says this is a Canadian savings bond, or this is a Canadian banknote. So that is true. But what I'm saying is they print the money themselves. The New World Order, global elite, the people who are in charge, they print the money. Every dollar on the entire planet, besides a couple countries that don't have private central banks, the money came from them anyway. They own every dollar, and every dollar that's supposed to be paid back, and all the interest. They own the entire planet. Now they're bored. They're like, what to do now? Maybe we should go ahead with the rest of our plan where we kill everybody. Yeah, that's a good plan. I like that plan. When should we do that? Well, people are starting to wake up. People are starting to catch on. People are starting to battle us. People are starting to realize that they're the actual bottom of the pyramid, which holds up the top of the pyramid. And if we just let go, they crumble to the ground. Maybe it's time to nuke them. So I've been saying, not promoting, but saying, warning, telling people, we are looking at a possible false flag immediately in this time frame, like under a year, and I said that 4 months ago, and now there's a huge warning. Oh, in November they're going to have rolling power grids knock out in America. They're going to try and do what happens if the power goes out in America. What happens if this happens? Response time. So every time you see a drill, like I've mentioned in all our articles and all our shows about false flag, if they have a drill, the drill can go live, it turns into a false flag, the drill was the cover. There's a huge drill announced that it's happening, they're knocking out all the power, FEMA's getting ready, all this stuff's happening, so if it wasn't for us exposing things like this, if it wasn't for shows like this bringing it up, if it wasn't for people reposting on Facebook, the mass awakening, and the positivity that you're talking about, if it wasn't for all that, these events would just happen. Yeah. Like, that's what stops these events. No one was exposing this crap before 9/11, so boom, it happened. They can't get that same event happening because we're standing there. We've got our cell phones out. We're sitting there like this. Oh, videotaping, so we're blocking that. We've got alternative media, real media, the real people who are reporting, actually covering and blocking them doing this. So we have to stay diligent. That's the whole point of me doing the show on the missing nukes. It's about a month ago the story came out, but developments have been happening for the last month. But if we don't drill home to people and have thousands of people hear the fact that there was a plan to blow up a city in America, and they almost did it if it wasn't for what these generals actually did, if it wasn't for this, and if this is true, if it is true, we almost got blown up. No one even references that we almost had one of these Cold War situations on 8/8/8, August 8th, 2008, in Georgia. Russia and Dick Cheney, I don't say the Americans, but Dick Cheney, who was basically sticking his nose in for the Americans, had nuclear missiles being armed, and we're almost at nuclear standoff on 888, and people don't even know about it. We are so close to terrible things happening because of the terrible people in charge. So that's all I got to say on all that. I'm done. I know I probably blew through my hour anyway, so just once again to definitely thank you for coming on and helping guest host. We've never had an actual guest host. I had Paul try and help me out and host, but like I said, he was completely AWOL tonight. Hopefully he's not NDA'd like we've joked about, but it's possible now. So, but thanks for joining us and helping us with that. I know that you're going to be on the network and have a few different upcoming events, so we'll talk about that in the future. I want to thank Terry again from Canadian Awareness Network, Terry Wilson.
Terry.
Frontline trooper. Not only is he reporting back to us and hopefully going to work with the network, but he's actually on the scene, boots on the ground, doing the work that we all should be. So props to Terry. Very good work there. All the archives and all the stuff we're doing is available at WeBookYourShow.com. It's also available on Facebook. You'll find us under Network Radio. There's a live stream. There's a blog talk. There's a 24-hour chat room. We're sending messages out in a bottle. I've got smoke signals going out in the backyard. We are getting the information out no matter what we do. So stay tuned. Stay updated. Stay informed. And thanks to everyone who not only tunes in live, but in the archives, because our numbers are growing. I actually am privy to see what the numbers are every week, and ladies and gentlemen, they are not only growing, but they're exponentially showing me hope, and maybe I'll get on the positivity bandwagon with you there, because it's hard for me to stay positive and scream about Barack Obama, but
it's all good.
All right, so thanks again for coming on. I'll say bye to you once I hang up, and I think I have an outro clip, maybe? Like I said, folks, tonight my computer is actually so bogged down that I'm surprised it's even playing. So when my outro clip rolls up, that'll be it for the night. Thanks again to everyone tuned in. Episode 64, Missing Nukes. Nora hosting the show, and we'll be back next week with a whole other lineup of shows. Thanks to everyone.
Broadcasting live on Network Radio.
So turn off your television sets, turn them off now, turn them off and leave them off.